All right. So how many of you actually were here last month when Mike gave his presentation about Elm? All right. Great. Number of you. So I actually enjoyed that talk very much. And I'm a big friend, big lover of functional programming. So I had a project at home that I was going to do, which was writing a CRUD interface. And I thought, hey, I can just try and use Elm. And so what I'm going to show here is just the result of this. But what I really want to talk about is real briefly about some of the things that I've learned, some of the gotchas and the pitfalls. The first one, before I forget, is last month I asked how big the apps are, because we know when you do React and you babble it and you do all these kind of things, you end up with big packages. The app that I'm going to be showing you is 320K unminified. So, you know, if it's gzip, it comes out to be about 66K. So anyway, so I built this little admin interface here. When I log in, so this is for sponsored content. This is basically just like your average post. And so you can, edit the post. And as you can tell, I probably wouldn't pass Robert's test for making things look pretty. But it's functional anyway. So there's a post, I can edit it. I can view the analytics for it. And I can delete it with a message, which I'm not going to do right now. And that's basically what regular users will see. Then as an admin, there's a little bit more functionality there. So what we just looked at was a particular client. So here I got a list of the clients, and I can go in and work as that client, or I can come back. I can edit the client. I can edit users. I can suspend them from here. So it's basically just your regular CRUD interface. So some of the things that I've picked up there is that as most functional languages, everything returns a value, even an if. So you can do something really funky, like this over here. Is this big enough? No. Glad I asked. Let me see. I don't need the rest. And this was in main. So you can do things like this, where you say, let the variable command be.
Top of the screen, please.
Oh, sorry, I can't see it from here. So is that good?
Yeah.
All right. So you can do things like this, where you have a variable that you assign, and the result is actually an if expression that returns the value. So this comes in pretty handy sometimes when you don't need to write the same variable twice. Let's say if this command equals that, else command equals this. So this comes in pretty handy sometimes. And then making API calls is really non-trivial. With JavaScript, we're really used to, let's say with jQuery, right? You say API, you give your configuration, and back comes the JSON, and you're ready to go. With Elm, this actually took me a lot of Googling and figuring stuff out. This is what you need to do do a post request. So if we have a value, you take the data you get and you you map it between the result you want and the object you have. Then you call JSON encode on it. From that, you create an HTTP string that you send to the method that actually does the call. And then that method actually returns not the result, but it returns a task object. So then the task you're going to have to go and perform, and then depending on whether it fails, it emits this command or it emits the other command. So this is a lot of work to do HTTP requests, and it took me a little while to figure out. So if you do it, be ready to do some Googling. The other thing is it uses encoders and decoders. So this is one of the methods that's being used to decode the value that comes back from the server. So we're telling it basically decode the object into a thing with 7 properties. It's going to be a type of user, and here's all the mappings that I talked about. So it's really explicit. You really have to tell it everything, and I think this is no different than languages like Java, or I know Scala has to do that too. And then I didn't realize how young that technology is. But while I was coding with 0.17. 0.18 came out. And I thought, oh, I'll just upgrade real quick. Well, after 2 hours, I finally gave up because there were so many really fundamental changes in the API I think they made HTTP calls now a lot easier. So all the stuff that is there now is simplified and is different and different objects. So that's something to be aware of. And the other thing, since it's so new, you Google around, you say, oh, wow, this is how it works. Well, this is how it worked in 0.15. Now you're on 0.17. So you Google again, and you say, oh, this is how it works. Oh, this is 0.16, not 0.17. So there's a lot of false starts and a lot of Googling, but I guess my takeaway is I still love the technology. I will learn more about this. And if you're still not discouraged from me talking about it, I would encourage you to look at it as well, because it really is a cool little language there. So that's my little spiel.